Someone betrayed you, someone you fed, someone you protected. Someone you opened the door for when every other door in their life was closing. And the moment your back was turned, they drove the knife in deeper than any enemy ever could. You did not see it coming. That is the part that haunts you, because the wound on your back is small compared to the wound in your mind. The slow, sickening realization that you were reading the wrong book the entire time. You thought it was loyalty. It was leverage. You thought it was friendship. It was a waiting game. And now you are standing in the wreckage of a trust you can never repair, asking yourself the same question every betrayed man eventually asks. What do I do? You want to retaliate. You want to expose them. You want the entire world to see exactly what kind of creature they truly are. You want them to suffer the way you are suffering right now. But here is what separates the powerful from the powerless. The powerful do not chase revenge. They architect it. And the most devastating revenge ever invented does not require you to lift a single finger. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this 5 centuries ago, in a world where betrayal was not a tweet or a whisper. It was a dagger in your ribs at a dinner table. He watched princes betrayed by their closest counsel. He watched kingdoms collapse from a single act of treachery. And he wrote down, with cold clarity, exactly how a powerful man must respond when someone he trusted turns against him. Tonight, I am going to hand you that knowledge. This is not about hatred. This is not about screaming matches or burning bridges in public. This is about something older, quieter, and infinitely more brutal. The Machiavellian art of letting a backstabber destroy himself while you stand still and watch. By the end of this monologue, you will never lose sleep over a traitor again. You will know exactly how to move, exactly when to move, and exactly why doing nothing is sometimes the deadliest move of all. So sit down, lock in, silence the noise around you. Because what you are about to learn is the law that powerful men have used for centuries to bury their enemies without ever being seen near the grave. Chapter 1: The wound beneath the wound. Before you can handle a backstabber, you must understand what actually happened to you, because the betrayal itself is not the real injury. The real injury is deeper. It is older. It is something most men cannot put into words, so they spend years confused, angry, and quietly bleeding from a wound they cannot name. Listen carefully. When someone betrays you, 2 things die at the same time. The first is the relationship. That one is obvious. The second is something far more dangerous. It is your trust in your own judgment. You start to wonder how you missed it. You replay every conversation. You comb through every memory looking for the warning sign you ignored. And in that obsessive replaying, you begin to lose something irreplaceable. You begin to lose faith in yourself. This is the silent kill that no one talks about. The backstabber does not just take a piece of your life. He takes a piece of your certainty. He makes you doubt your instincts. He makes you afraid to trust again. He poisons the well of every future relationship you will ever attempt. And this is exactly why most men handle betrayal so badly. They are not fighting the traitor. They are fighting their own shame for not seeing it sooner. Machiavelli understood that the first battlefield is always internal. He warned that a ruler who reacts from wounded pride is already defeated. The traitor wants you to spiral. The traitor wants you confused, emotional, sleepless, and reckless. Because a man in that state will make mistakes, and every mistake you make becomes evidence the traitor can use against you later. So your first move is not against them. It is against yourself. You must stop the bleeding inside your own mind before you do anything else. You did not fail. You trusted. There is a difference. Trust is not stupidity. Trust is the foundation of every kingdom ever built. The fact that someone betrayed it tells you everything about them and nothing about you. Steady yourself. Breathe. Sit. With the wound without flinching. Because the cold mind that emerges on the other side of this pause is the mind that will dismantle them. Chapter 2. The weak man's retaliation. Let me show you exactly what most men do when they get betrayed. And let me show you why every single one of those moves is a gift to the traitor. The weak man explodes. He confronts. He sends the long, emotional message at 2 in the morning. He drags the conflict into group chats, comment sections, dinner tables. He tells everyone who will listen exactly what happened, exactly how he feels, exactly what kind of monster the other person is. He thinks he is exposing the traitor. He is exposing himself, because every word he speaks reveals how deeply the betrayal cut him. Every angry text he sends becomes screenshot ammunition. Every loud accusation makes him look like the unstable one. And suddenly, The traitor has flipped the entire script. Now the betrayer plays the victim. Now your pain becomes their evidence. Now the people who once respected you start to wonder if maybe, just maybe, you were the problem all along. This is the trap, and the traitor designed it for you. Understand something brutal. Backstabbers are not stupid. The kind of person willing to betray you was already running the calculation long before you noticed. They know how you react. They know your temper. They know your weak spots. And the betrayal is rarely just an attack. It is often a setup. Provoke the man into a meltdown, and the meltdown becomes the story. The original betrayal disappears in the noise of your reaction. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must never act out of anger. Anger is loud. Anger is sloppy. Anger leaves fingerprints on every weapon you swing. The weak man also makes another fatal mistake. He cuts ties dramatically. He announces the friendship is over. He makes a public scene of removing the traitor from his life. And in doing so, he gives the traitor closure they did not earn, and a story they can now spin to anyone who asks. You owe them no announcement. You owe them no goodbye. You owe them no explanation. No warning, no last conversation, no final speech. Every dramatic exit is a final favor to the very person who stabbed you in the back. The weak man burns the bridge while standing on it. The Machiavellian burns nothing. He simply walks away so quietly that the traitor does not realize the bridge has collapsed until they try to cross it months later and find only air beneath their feet. Chapter 3. The Cold Architect. Meet the man you must become. He receives the news of the betrayal, and his face does not move. Not because he does not feel it, he feels it deeply. But he has trained himself to wear the wound on the inside, where it can sharpen him, instead of on the outside, where it can be used against him. This is the cold architect. He does not curse the traitor. He does not cry to mutual friends. He does not post cryptic messages online begging the universe to notice his pain. He goes home. He sits alone. And he begins to build. What does he build? A plan. But not the kind of plan most men imagine. He is not building a confrontation. He is not building a comeback speech. He is building an exit so silent, so seamless, that by the time the traitor realizes anything is wrong, they will already be standing in the consequences alone. Machiavelli wrote that the best generals win battles before the battles are fought. They position, they prepare, they cut off the enemy's supply lines weeks before the first sword is drawn. By the time the fighting begins, the war is already over. The enemy just has not figured it out yet. This is exactly how you must think about a backstabber. Step 1. You stop reacting in real time. Every emotional response is a leak. Every leak is intelligence the traitor can use. From the moment you discover the betrayal, you become a closed system. Calm voice. Normal behavior. Even if necessary, polite warmth. Let them think they got away with it. Let them lower their guard. Let them get comfortable, sloppy, arrogant. A confident traitor is a careless traitor, and carelessness is a gift you must allow them to give you. Step 2. You begin documenting. Privately, quietly, every detail. Every text. Every conversation. Every favor they owe. Every weakness you spotted. Every person they used you to access. You build the file in silence. Not because you will use all of it, but because clarity is power and confusion is the enemy of revenge. Step 3. You start removing yourself. Slowly, surgically, invisibly. The introductions stop. The recommendations stop. The information stops. The access stops. You do not announce any of this. You simply become unavailable in 1,000 small ways that will not register until they have all accumulated. The cold architect does not strike. He withdraws so completely that the traitor walks into rooms where you were once their oxygen and finds the air gone. This is how powerful men handle betrayal. Not with fire, with absence. Chapter 5. The long game of exposure. Here is a truth most people will not tell you, because it requires patience they do not possess. Backstabbers always expose themselves. Not sometimes. Not occasionally, always. The same instincts that drove them to betray you will drive them to betray the next person. And the next. And the next. Because betrayal is not an event in their life. It is the operating system of their character. They are not capable of loyalty in any sustained form. They will smile, charm, integrate, and then strike. And they will do it again and again because they do not know any other way to move through the world. Your job is not to expose them. Your job is to live long enough to watch them expose themselves. Machiavelli warned that a man who tries to destroy his enemy too quickly often ends up looking like the aggressor. The world is not watching closely enough to understand the full story. But time is the great revealer. Time strips away charm. Time wears down disguises. Time forces every traitor to eventually slip in a way that even the casual observers cannot ignore. So you wait. You do not warn anyone. You do not whisper in ears. You do not run a quiet campaign against them. Because the moment you do, you have invested your reputation in their destruction. And reputation invested is reputation risked. If the campaign fails, you look bitter. If it succeeds, you look manipulative. Either way, you lose. Instead, you go quiet. You go disciplined. You go forward. You build your own life with such focus and dignity that the contrast does the talking for you. While the traitor scrambles, claws, and burns through people, you rise. You acquire. You compound. And the people who once knew both of you begin to notice something they cannot explain. One of you is becoming something. The other is becoming someone people avoid. This contrast is your loudest accusation. And you never have to say a word. When the traitor inevitably falls, and they always do, you must remember the final law of strategic exposure. You do not show up at the funeral of their reputation. You do not gloat. You do not say, "I told you so." You do not even smile in public. You let the wreckage speak. You let the world draw its own conclusions. You let history write the chapter you refuse to dictate. This is the long game. And it requires the kind of patience that only comes from a man who has stopped needing the immediate satisfaction of being seen as right. Chapter 6. Withdrawal as a weapon now. We arrive at the most lethal move in the entire Machiavellian playbook against a backstabber. Withdrawal, not absence, not avoidance, not running away. Withdrawal, the slow, deliberate, surgical removal of every resource, opportunity, and pathway that you once made available to this person without them ever noticing how much they relied on you. Understand this clearly. Most backstabbers betray you not because they hate you, but because they have already extracted what they wanted from you. The betrayal is the exit door. They are leaving. They are simply leaving in a way that also damages your reputation, your network, or your assets on the way out. But here is what they almost never calculate correctly. They always underestimate how much of their world was held together by you. The introductions you made, the credibility you lent them, the advice that saved them, the opportunities you steered toward them, the conversations you smoothed over, the doors you held open, the mistakes you covered for, the reputation you protected when you could have exposed them years ago. They saw all of this as their own success. They never saw the scaffolding behind it. Your scaffolding. So when you withdraw, you do not announce it. You do not dramatize it. You simply, quietly, methodically take back every piece of yourself that was holding their life together. You stop opening doors. You stop making introductions. You stop endorsing their name in rooms they cannot enter without you. You stop covering their weaknesses to people who would otherwise see them clearly. You stop being the buffer between them and the consequences they have always deserved. And then, you watch. Because reality, undiluted, is a brutal teacher. Without your scaffolding, their flaws become visible. Without your endorsement, their weakness becomes obvious. Without your protection, their reputation begins to behave the way it always would have behaved if you had not been quietly holding it up. Machiavelli wrote that the wise man never destroys his enemy when he can simply allow the enemy to destroy himself. Destruction by your hand creates martyrs. Destruction by their own hand creates lessons. And lessons travel further than any attack ever could. This is how powerful people handle traitors. They do not punish. They unhand. They unsupport. They unprotect. And the gravity of consequence, which had been delayed for years by your invisible labor, finally hits the traitor at full force. By the time they realize what is happening, they cannot even point a finger at you. Because you did nothing. You simply stopped doing the 1,000 quiet things that were keeping them afloat. And nothing is the most devastating thing one human being can ever do to another. Chapter 7. The Inner Fortress. But none of these laws, none of these moves, none of these strategies will work if you have not first built the inner fortress. Because here is the trap most men fall into. They learn the techniques. They master the silence. They architect the withdrawal. And then, in some small unguarded moment, the betrayal crawls back into their mind, and they speak. They text, they confront. They give it all away in a single weak hour, undoing months of disciplined silence in 60 seconds of emotional collapse strategy means nothing without the inner fortress that protects it. The inner fortress is the version of you that no traitor can reach. It is built not from anger, but from acceptance. Acceptance that humans betray. Acceptance that the world rewards charm more often than character. Acceptance that some of the people you love most will choose themselves over you when the moment demands it. This acceptance is not pessimism. It is armor. Once you accept that betrayal is woven into the fabric of human nature, you stop being shocked by it. And shock is the emotion that destroys discipline. The man who is shocked by betrayal reacts. The man who expected the possibility responds. He has already mentally rehearsed this moment 1,000 times in quiet preparation, so when it finally arrives, his hands are steady and his voice is calm. Machiavelli wrote that the prudent prince prepares for treachery before treachery arrives. He does not assume loyalty. He inspects it. He tests it quietly. He watches how people behave when no one is watching, when small temptations appear, when easy lies could be told. The character of a man is revealed in the moments he believes no one is looking. Pay attention to those moments going forward. They will save you future betrayals. But more importantly, fortify yourself now. Sleep, train, build your body so the storm inside cannot collapse the structure. Outside, read, study. Sharpen your mind so the next traitor cannot disguise themselves as easily as the last one. Build wealth, skills, networks, and creations that exist independently of any single human being. Because every form of dependence is an invitation for betrayal. The man with one friend can be destroyed by losing that friend. The man with one job can be destroyed by losing that job. The man with one source of meaning can be destroyed by anyone with the patience to remove it. But the man who has built an inner fortress, who has stacked his life with depth, discipline, and independence, that man cannot be destroyed by any single betrayal. He can be wounded. He can be saddened. But he cannot be moved from the center of himself. That center is the throne, and no traitor in the world can take it from you unless you abandon it first. Chapter 8. The Transformation. Look at what you have become. You came into this monologue carrying the wound of someone else's treachery. You came in heavy. You came in restless. You came in tempted to do all the loud, useless things that wounded men do when the world cuts them deeper than they expected. But somewhere in the last 20 minutes, something shifted. You stopped picturing a confrontation. You started picturing an exit. You stopped rehearsing the speech you would give them. You started rehearsing the silence you would give them instead. You stopped imagining their humiliation. You started imagining your own elevation, the version of you that rises so quietly, so disciplined, so far beyond their reach that revenge becomes obsolete. This is the transformation Machiavelli engineered 5 centuries ago. The untouchable man does not waste himself on traitors. He upgrades himself in their presence and disappears from their orbit. He removes his scaffolding without ceremony. He goes silent without announcement. He withdraws without warning, and he keeps building, relentlessly, quietly, daily, until the betrayal becomes a small chapter in a much larger story they no longer have access to. The traitor wanted to be a turning point in your life. You will make them a footnote. This is the secret no backstabber ever expects. They expect war. They expect chaos. They expect the messy public emotional collapse that lesser men deliver on cue. And when they receive nothing instead, when their attack vanishes into the same silence they once mistook for weakness, they begin to suspect something terrifying. They begin to suspect that they were never the predator. They were the prey, and they wandered, willingly, into the patience of a man they should have feared. You will see this realization happen, slowly, in months, sometimes years, but you will see it. The careful look they give you in a public place, the cautious tone when they mention your name to mutual contacts, the way they suddenly start talking about you as if you are dangerous, not because you ever raised your voice, but because they finally understand what was being built in the quiet you refuse to break. That is power. That is the Machiavellian way. That is the kind of man who never has to lift a finger because his discipline does all the lifting for him. Chapter 9, the final command. You have made it to the end. But this is not the ending. This is the moment you decide whether everything I have given you tonight stays a fantasy in your head or becomes a discipline you obey starting now. The next time someone betrays you, and there will be a next time, because human nature has not changed since Machiavelli's pen left the page. You will not explode. You will not confront. You will not message them at midnight, begging for an explanation they would only weaponize against you. You will not announce the end of the relationship. You will not seek justice from people who are not authorized to deliver it. You will go quiet. You will go cold. You will go to work. You will document. You will withdraw. You will rebuild. You will let the traitor's own life become the courtroom you never had to walk into. And you will move so far up and so far away from their reach that, one day, when their name surfaces again, you will struggle to remember why it ever held any power over you. This is the final command. Become the man whose silence ends relationships. Become the man whose absence becomes someone else's haunting. Become the man whose calm in the face of betrayal makes traitors lose sleep for years. Not because you cursed them, not because you exposed them, but because you simply stopped being available for the war they were trying to fight with you. Machiavelli gave us the architecture. You only need to live in it. So before you leave this monologue, do one thing for the version of yourself you are becoming. In the comments below, write 3 words and 3 words only. I move silently, not as a slogan, not as a wish, as a vow. A line in the ground, a signature on the new chapter you are entering tonight. Write it and mean it. Write it and let every backstabber who has ever underestimated you read it without knowing it was meant for them. And if a single sentence in this monologue cut through the noise and reached the place inside you that has been waiting to wake up, do me a quiet favor. Tap that like button. It pushes these laws into the feed of another man who is sitting somewhere right now, bleeding from a betrayal he has not yet figured out how to handle. Subscribe to this channel. We are not building content here. We are building a quiet brotherhood of men who refuse to be predictable, who refuse to be reactive, who refuse to spend the rest of their lives ruled by the people who underestimated them. Turn on the notification bell. The next monologue I release may be the exact law you need on the exact day the world tests you again. Do not let the algorithm bury what could have saved you. You came here carrying a wound. You leave here carrying a weapon. Move silently. Move precisely. Move without warning. And let every traitor who ever crossed you discover far too late that the man they thought they had defeated was simply waiting for them to forget he was still standing. At the edge of everything you came here to learn, the wound has been named, the traitor has been understood, the weapons have been placed in your hands. Silence, withdrawal, patience, indifference, the cold architecture of a man who refuses to bleed in public anymore. And now comes the only question that matters. Will you use them? Because knowledge that does not become discipline is just decoration. It is something you carry around like a quote on a coffee mug, comforting yourself with the illusion of growth while the same old version of you keeps reacting, keeps explaining, keeps bleeding into the hands of people who never deserved your warmth. You did not come here for decoration. You came here for transformation. So tonight, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready, tonight, you take the vow, you decide. You draw a line through your own history and mark this moment as the night the old man inside you died, and the cold architect finally took the throne. From this moment forward, you will not chase. You will not explain. You will not beg the world to see you correctly. You will simply move, quietly, precisely, relentlessly, toward the version of yourself the traitors of your past will not be invited to witness. In the comments below, write these 3 words, not as a sentence. As a signature, I move silently, write it slowly. Write it like you mean it. Write it like every man who has ever underestimated you is reading over your shoulder. Because one day, sooner than you think, you will scroll back to this moment, and you will remember the exact night you stopped being prey and started becoming something the world hesitates to provoke. If even one law in this monologue reached the part of you that has been silent for too long, do me a quiet favor. Tap the like button. Every like pushes these words into the feed of another man bleeding from a betrayal he has not yet learned how to survive. You may never meet him, but your one tap might be the moment his life changes. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already. We are not building an audience here. We are building a brotherhood, a quiet army of men who refuse to be loud, refuse to be reactive, refuse to be ruled by the small minds who once mistook our patience for weakness. Turn on the notification bell. The next monologue may carry the exact law your life is about to demand from you. Do not let the algorithm bury what could have saved you. Machiavelli gave us the blueprint 5 centuries ago. Human nature has not changed. The traitors have only learned new costumes. But the laws remain eternal, and now the laws belong to you, so go. Walk back into your world heavier, sharper, colder, calmer. Move silently, strike, precisely, and never again let the world mistake your patience for weakness. Untouchable man is not a fantasy. He is the decision you make the second this video ends. Subscribe to this channel. We are not building an audience here. We are building a brotherhood. A quiet army of men who refuse to be loud, refuse to be reactive, refuse to be ruled by the small minds who once mistook our patience for weakness.